Hello, welcome. Oh, that was a bit close. Hello, welcome back to this session. So this is all about how stress shows up in our teenagers. Now, it is going to be no surprise to you to learn that the generation of teenagers that are coming through now are the most stressed we have ever seen, and it is presenting in all sorts of ways. So we've got to keep up with our education around stress and understanding what is causing our teenagers to be so stressed. It's not going to be a surprise. Education is the top one. School expectations, family expectations, exam pressures. We've then got peer pressures. We've got social media influences. We have the whole lot going on. It's no wonder our teenagers are absolutely at their max and stressed. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm stressed, I absolutely change my behaviour. I become snappy, I get moody, I can get teary, I can withdraw, I can do all sorts of different behaviours. And what happens when it's a teenager doing that? We put it down to hormones. We put it down to the fact that they're just being moody or they're just being angry, and actually they are dealing with so much more than what we probably realise. So I will go into stress and boundaries, like I mentioned, in much more detail later on down the road. But for now, let's understand what stress is. Oh, I clicked and it didn't work. Oh, it's not working. Hold up. Click. There we go. All right, let me move my face. Whee! There I go. Oh, that looks weird. I'll stay here for now. What is stress? It's completely normal. I feel quite stressed now doing this. What is stress? It's completely normal. Now, as I've mentioned in a previous video, we have the brain working at the moment. So I'll go back to my hand, prefrontal cortex here. If you've not seen this little demonstration of my hand, it's in the Teenage Brain Explained video. So go and have a look. But basically, prefrontal cortex, logic, thinking, decision making can help us out of stressful situations. Teenagers do not have that fully formed. It's kind of here. This bit here is the amygdala. It's the emotional bank. It's the emotional brain that's working right in the center. This is fully formed and fully functioning. However, teenagers cannot logically work their way through. So, for example, if your teenager has a lot going on at school, and this bit is feeling quite full, and you know they're going through a lot, they can't rationalize that out. They can't understand what they need to do to relieve that stress. Therefore, they come out with their behaviours. They'll get snappy, they'll shout, they'll slam doors, they'll do what they'll do, or they'll withdraw. Please understand that they will either, well, they could do all of them really, but withdrawing and keeping quiet is just as big a sign of something else going on as shouting and screaming and slamming doors, all right? So this is kicking up. This is their fight and flight system. This is their protection. So I say here it's a natural process. It protects us and it focuses us. So when the body is feeling stressed, the amygdala will start focusing itself on what it needs to do. So it's under danger, it's under threat. That's what the brain is being told. And it will either fight, where it will get angry, your teenager will get angry and slam doors, or it will fly away, which means hide in their bedroom and not talk to anyone. So when your teenager is displaying those sort of behaviours, there is a high chance that they are under very stressful situations. And it's our jobs as parents and carers to go in and support them to understand what that stress means. That's why at the bottom here I've put stress is has negative connotations. It portrays like we can't cope. There's some not good stuff that comes with stress. However, if we can reframe it and label it as overwhelm, very different. Because if I said to you, I'm feeling really overwhelmed at the minute, probably the first thing you're going to think is, oh, can I help? Is there something I can take off your plate? Well, I'd like to hope you would. But is there something I can do to take off your plate? If I say I'm stressed, there's not a lot you can do apart from listen to what I've got to rant on about. So if I tell you that I'm overwhelmed, you're more likely to want to help me. And if we can teach our teenagers to use the word overwhelmed rather than stressed, well, if we could mirror that as well, if we could do it, then we are more likely to help figure this one out. If they're feeling overwhelmed, it's really easy to work it through. We sit down with them, we get them to write a list, because this logic thinking isn't working. We need to physically write the list out. So write every single lesson they've got homework for, every single thing in the diary they need to prepare for, if they have to remember something, birthdays, whatever, list it all down, and they will be able to understand that a lot better than just trying to figure it out themselves and getting cross at everything. The worst thing we can do is react to the behaviour and not figure out what's stressing them out. Parents, my God, we can put so much stress on our teenagers. Please be mindful. If you know your teenager is already really overwhelmed with school or friends or whatever, give them a bit of leeway on the chores, or allow them to have a little bit more time in their room. Allow their brains to figure this one out, because remember, we are trying to develop this prefrontal cortex by mirroring and supporting them and trying to understand, do they want comfort or a solution? Remember in the last the Brain Explained video, we need to help build this, because at the minute their stress is too high and they are behaving outwardly with it all. Okay, so remember, if they are slamming doors, screaming, shouting, or withdrawing, we have the responsibility to go, okay, what's going on here? And we can analyze it a bit better than our teens. We should not expect our teens to be able to understand the stress. Their brains are not developed enough to do that. I suppose if that's one thing I can get you to take away from any of these videos, is to understand their brains are not fully developed. Therefore, they will not react in a logical way like we would like them to. So let's work with overwhelm rather than stress. It means the same thing. However, it does take a bit of the negative connotations away, and it allows that the way that our words are used, and we want to help more with overwhelm, and we can work with overwhelm. We can get rid of overwhelm quite quickly and simply. Why is the thing not working? Let me go through. Where's the next slide? All right, so how stress will show up. This is just a little bit of a an idea of how to see it. So when I said that when they're stressed, you're going to see different behaviors. Okay, let me start with emotional signals. Emotional signs. Your teenager might be, now this is where it gets quite hard to understand if it's stress or just teenage behavior. Majority of the time, it will be something else behind the behavior. Most teenagers do not just act out for the sake of acting out. There is always something below that surface. So if they are irritable or withdrawn or having mood swings, it's worth asking them if they're feeling overwhelmed about anything. If they have physical signs that they are more tired than usual, I mean really tired than usual, if they're complaining of headaches or losing their appetite or indeed eating more, just be aware that this could be signs that there's a lot of stress going on. Behaviour signs, they might avoid tasks. They might be snapping at you more or more. I procrastinate a lot. So I don't know if for 1 minute you want to have a look. You might already, as I was talking, go, yep, that's what I do when I'm stressed. We will have something that we will do if we are stressed. You will know your teenager. You know your teenager inside out, and certainly through this process of working with parentology, you will understand your teenager so much more. So if I'm procrastinating, if my daughter is procrastinating, my first response is, come on, let's get on and do your homework. What I should be doing is asking them what's happening for them. How are they feeling? What's on their plate? Let's go through the list and understand what's going on. Because it's so much easier when you know what's happening for your teenager to then work with them, rather than calling them lazy. My God, if someone called me lazy today, I would have blown at them. Have an idea about how your stress shows, and then maybe just have a think about how it would show up in your teenager. All right, I'm going to have to move myself here. Right, let me move myself into the middle. Right, well, you don't need to do that. Right, what not to say. So when I said that us parents can put a lot onto our teenagers, or don't like me in the middle, hold on, let me move it to the side. I'll sit over here with my young lady here. All right, so when I said that us parents can put a lot of stress on our teenagers, it can generally be by how we are responding to what they're saying. Most teenagers, majority of teenagers, are actually quite good at verbalising what they're thinking, but we respond because we don't know how to word it properly. And now these ones here, I know I've said them hundreds of times. I certainly know my husband says them to my girls still now, and I would put money on the fact that you've probably said them in the past as well. So let's avoid don't use invalidating phrases, basically. Just get over it. Stop being dramatic. You're overreacting. How often do we tell our teenagers they're overreacting? They are not. They don't understand how to react. Therefore, they can't overreact. So please avoid telling them they're being dramatic and overreacting, because all you will get is a teenager who won't come to you and talk to you, or they'll fly off the handle because this part of the brain is already pumping out. You add one of those sayings by invalidating that feeling, it will go crazy. I also said in one of the other videos, we are instinctively fixers. Us parents want to instinctively fix. I don't know if you can see me properly down here. It really doesn't matter, does it? We instinctively want to fix. So avoid those quick fix solutions. We'll be fine tomorrow. You'll be fine. Well, I know I'll be fine, but right now I need to get over and figure out this stress and what's happening to me. So avoid these phrases. Obviously, if they slip out and you do say them, don't beat yourself up. We're going to practice self-compassion, no doubt. No doubt. I know full well we're going to practice self-compassion within the Parenting Connect. Please avoid... No, hold on. What was I trying to say? If you say one of these phrases, because we were probably brought up on these phrases, if you're an 80s, 90s baby, you were definitely brought up on these phrases. But if you say them, it's all right. We are human, and we just apologise for what we said and we move on. It's about changing behaviours, and they're not going to come easy, especially if this has been your way of parenting for all of their life. It's not going to be easy to change, but just be mindful that if someone said to me, just get over it, oh yeah, just get over it. Of course I will. That's what I'm meant to do. Of course you're not going to say that. That's not going to happen. But what it means is lazy, basically. I'm going to be very blunt here. It's lazy parenting. It means we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to hear what you've got to say. We don't want to understand what's going on for you. Just get over it. It'll be fine. Oh, come on, you're being a bit dramatic. Saying things like that will completely invalidate your child's behaviour, their feelings and their emotions. And it's one sure way to get your child to stop talking to you. So I get quite strong on this way, and it will be something you will hear throughout the work that we do. Is about what to say and what not to say, because our words are powerful. All right, so what to say? We empathise, all right? To empathise is to put yourself in your teenager's shoes. So if your teenager is really kicking up and having a bad time, we say what we see. That sounds like catchphrase. Let's say what you see. Is we just say, I can see you're feeling overwhelmed. Do you know how powerful that phrase can be? I can see you're upset. I can see you're feeling quite angry. You are seeing them and you are understanding what they go. Because what we will do as parents is we will assume. And we will assume they feel something and they're not feeling that at all, because we assume they're angry and actually they're stressed. We've already got it wrong. So just say, I can see you're feeling quite angry and upset. I can see you're feeling overwhelmed. Talk to me. What's happening for you? Do you want comfort? Do you want a solution? Do you want a hug? Do you want help? As we've already talked about. Encourage self-reflection. So encourage them to think back once they're calmer, once you're talking to them. What has been the hardest part of the day? Excuse me. What has been the hardest part for you today? Let them explore what they're feeling and understand what's going on for them. Reassure and support. I'm here for you no matter what. I'm here. Talk to me. I'm going to go make the dinner. Come back and talk to me later. And offer some time for them to talk to you, because they need to know. Whether they do or not is another matter, or whether they come to you at 11 p.m. at night and try and talk to you. They need to know that you are there for them. And use grounding phrases like, let's focus on one thing at a time, or do you need a hug? Do you need some space right now? Allow them to feel grounded, because overwhelm will keep them in their head. Allow them to feel grounded. In the download section, in the resource section, there are plenty of grounding techniques, and it goes beyond breathing and the usual ones you can grab off the internet. These ones are based in psychological research, and they will really, really work. When you're overwhelmed, you're in your head and everything's going on up here, and the grounding will bring it into the body and allow them to disperse it in other ways. They're essential, honestly, life tools, and use them yourself. I mean, they're good for us lot to use as well. So things that we need to do to help our teenagers manage stress. Teach grounding techniques. All right, go and have a look at the resource downloads, understand what I mean by grounding techniques, and let's get the overwhelm. So let me explain again. When you are overwhelmed and you are stressed and everything is going on, you're in the emotional part of the brain. Me and you, adults, can logically work our way out and think we'll be all right. Teenagers can't. So we need to therefore get this energy into the body and ground. Now that could be lots of different things, and it's all to do with mindfulness and gratitude and bits and pieces, but do go and have a look at the resources. Use them yourself and mirror the behaviour to your teen. Model stress management. If you can't manage your stress, there's no way on this earth your teenager is going to manage their stress. You need to model your behaviour. Again, I have one-to-one coaching packages that will work on this. We offer counselling and coaching. I offer counselling and coaching packages so we can understand what stress you are under, because your team will absolutely be picking that up. Don't be frightened to ask for help. Come and speak to me. Let's do some work together and understand your stress management. And encourage self-care. And again, you need to have self-care and self-compassion. Encourage your teen to look after themselves when they are feeling overwhelmed. Offer treats and rewards and bits and pieces. You know, even though they're teenagers, as if you don't know, food goes a long way. Yeah, reward them with food, but do it yourself as well. So all of this stuff, I tell you now, they are watching your every move. So if you're not managing your own stress, they are picking that up, and they won't know how to manage or regulate their own stress. So make sure you're looking after yourself. Do reach out to me and speak to me if you're struggling with any of this. I've got lots and lots of tips I can offer you. I will 100% be going into this topic in much more detail at a later date. But thank you very much for watching. Get in touch if there's anything that's come up for you. Have a look at the resource section and I will see you in the next part.